Hello everyone. So today I want to make a video about forward bend. And as always, I am not a doctor or a physical therapist, and if you have any concerns about your health, it's always best to talk with a medical professional. Also, if you do decide to follow along with what I demonstrate here today, just make sure that you go slow, and if anything hurts, stop. Okay, so I want to make this video because I think it's pretty easy to trick yourself into thinking that you're doing forward bend properly when you're actually not. So let me show you what I mean by that. So I can pretty easily touch the floor. However, the problem with that is that I'm not feeling a stretch in the back of my legs when I do it that way, which is a pretty important part of that pose. And my back is rounding in order to allow me to touch the floor rather than hinging from the hips. And this is even more pronounced when I sit in pike position. So you can see my back's not really straight. It's actually sort of tucked under here in the low back and glutes. And I can straighten it out using my hands, but I just don't have the strength and hamstring flexibility in order to sit like this with a straight back right now. Okay, so let me show you how to do forward bend properly. You always want to start with good posture, which I covered in my mountain pose video, but I'll just do a quick recap here. So you want to make sure you have even pressure on the four corners of your feet, slight bend in the knee, so not locked like that, but a slight bend, and then push down through your feet using your hips and your glutes. And from here, start to bend forward very slowly. So first I engage my low back, and then just very slowly go forward, making sure that I'm hinging at the hips while keeping a straight back. I like to put my fingers here in the crease of my hips, just to make sure that I am actually hinging at the hips and not rounding my back. I'm also still engaged in my legs to some degree. And I'm going very slowly because it just helps me feel all the changes that are happening in my legs and glutes and low back as I do this movement. And I'm really just keeping my back straight and allowing gravity to pull me down and allowing my body to hinge at the hips. Now here, I already feel a pretty big stretch in my hamstrings as well as my glutes and a little bit in the pelvic floor. And as I continue to go down, I also feel the stretch moving into my calves as well. So I'll usually hold this for a minute or two sometimes, just to get a really good stretch through the back of my legs, and it is also a great way to strengthen your back. So once my back starts to get tired, then I'll finally go forward, and this does involve rounding in the back, and I'll go forward and touch the floor. So I know that didn't look too different from what I demonstrated in the beginning, but I can feel that it is very, very different. Another thing to note is that I wasn't really able to control the movement to that degree before just because I didn't have the back strength in order to do that. So if you're having trouble controlling the movement like that, let me show you a modification that should help. Okay, so here's how I did forward bend before I had the back strength to control the movement like I just did. So as always, start with good posture, go slow, and then just reach your hands out. I'm using the couch. You can use whatever you have in your house that's the right height. but I'm putting a lot of the weight into my hands to take some of the pressure off of my back. This way I don't have to control the whole movement using my back. I can also use my arms. But I am still engaging my back to some degree. And then it's really the same thing. Just use a combination of your back strength and your arms to control the movement. Slowly go into the forward bend. Make sure you're feeling a really big stretch in the back of your legs. Now, when I'm doing it this way, I do not try to reach for the floor or anything like that, because the pose is really not about how far you can go or whether or not you can touch the floor. It's about getting a good stretch through the back of your legs and strengthening your back. All right, well, thanks so much for watching, and if you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe.